Yo, what's good? Yeah, how you doing, man?
Hello.
So, how are you?
I'm well.
All right. That good to know. Good to know. So, we could just we got hop right into things if that's fine with you. I'm already like recording stuff, so if
Yeah.
you're ready, then
Yeah, let's get it.
all right. That so I guess I just want to know, like, feel like I'm seeing a lot of like connections with like what's going on in Milwaukee right now. Like, I kind of see a lot of like early Flint in it, how people were like really gravitating towards that sound and replicating it elsewhere, kind of like a cross cultural contamination going on. So like who are some of your like inspirations personally, like that kind of like influence your production style and stuff?
Man, I feel like I take from such a wide variety of styles. You had the connection's a little fucked up. You had said
Hmm.
Flint. Yeah, so there's definitely some Michigan influence. I feel like when it comes to the Milwaukee sound, the Midwest sound in general, uh, sometimes I feel like Chicago might be doing its own thing, but
Hmm.
Milwaukee and Detroit especially have a lot of overlapping sort of influence. Um, And so when it comes to the production styles, I'll find myself taking from both like local and then
Hmm.
also more specifically, we could list like what YNJ, um,
Mm.
Rio the Young OG, really cool
Free
stuff.
Rio,
I was a fan of Kasher Quon and TJ
for sure.
when they were on, um, and especially on the more lighthearted side of things, you know.
No, for sure. And when I look at what you're doing with AyooLi, like that's more standard what's been coming out of Milwaukee in general, like 414 certified trapper in them. But I also looked at your music like personally, like
Well,
one kind of hopped out, like one you made over the course of quarantine, like during like the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. And like that was kind of giving me some like Isaiah Rashad type vibes. So is there
it's less about specifically the AO and more about overall.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess when it comes to like what you're doing personally, like I feel like there's like two waves coming out. Like there's like, the certified trapper stuff in there. Is there also like a little alternative scene in Milwaukee going on as well? Like kind of
There's a
people
huge
that might
alternative.
sound more traditional?
I think, especially in Wisconsin, we have a very strong DIY
Mm,
musician mentality, and I feel like you could find the best examples of that in the punk scene, in the alt
mm,
rock scene, in the heavy metal scenes that come out of Milwaukee and the surrounding areas. You know, there's a lot of history in that, but it's not the most popular style of music anymore, so it
yeah,
doesn't also
exactly.
shine that it should, or it could have
Yeah,
when that is at its peak.
yeah.
But that's
So
definitely a heavy.
so
I grew up
how'd you
studying.
go from that
How
to
do I go from
what
there?
you're doing now? You know?
Oh, to what I'm doing now?
Yeah.
It was a steady progression. It took like a lot of years, I think, of developing musical uh interests through like new things and new sounds I was hearing. As I became a producer and I really forced myself to sit down and study um a lot of styles of music that I was less familiar with, and especially more styles that are representative of the area that I'm, inhabiting. I think I started to find a lot of sounds that I realized couldn't exist anywhere outside of where we lived at,
Mm,
And I think
mm,
that was what really got me going in terms of the low end stuff. Was just
mm.
when it clicked for me that what these people were doing and building in this scene was something that was really specific to the place I grew up. And
Yeah,
especially
hyper
like low
specific.
coming off the east side, it was also cool to see some representation there.
Yeah. I feel like every damn near every beat I hear from out there, there's got to be a clap, like just a very specific clap. Could you tell me like what sparked that? Like whether it's Lee, Trapper, 414 boys, it's like every time there's got to be a clap. Like, so what clap are you using, and
Um,
who was the first to do that? Like, what's the root of that?
Definitely no specific clap. I feel like whatever sounds good for the occasion is what I'm gonna use. And
Mm,
oftentimes what I'm finding now as I experiment with the sound that you can do marching drum snare style stuff, and
mm,
that works equally well, just as long as you have that really steady cadence of the you know, like that's just
Yeah.
gotta be. But I think it comes from Milwaukee and their sort of twerk music history.
Okay.
A
Okay.
lot. Munch Lauren is an artist that I can think of that comes to mind that's kind of got prominently four to the floor snare style stuff going on.
Yeah.
And it's for dancing, bro. Like it make people move, you know? So
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get that style that's almost like ass shaking music
Nah,
and
100.
flipping into something that's not that, you know? I think it's
Yeah.
kind of where it comes from.
It's a very interesting mix. So how did you connect with AO in the first place?
It was a roll of the dice. Honestly, I had found out about low end through students at a school that I was teaching at. And they wanted
Oh,
to,
really?
yeah, we were making beats essentially as part of the class
Hmm.
and sort of
Hmm.
supervising that portion of the program. And the students all wanted to make low end stuff, and I wasn't familiar with the style at the time, you know. But the kids like really wanted low end beats, and so I did
Yeah.
some research, and I found Certified through that. I found
Hmm.
a couple other artists through that, and in the process of studying what they had been doing, I found out
Hmm.
that Brother Man was doing stuff that wasn't just skits. They had
Hmm.
worked on the Spenders video together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And that got posted on Trappers. Yeah. That went
Spenders
up.
was going nuts at the time. Like they did that themselves, you know? And
Yeah.
I just remember seeing that shit and being like, bro, like they're onto something. Like this is crazy,
No,
you know?
100%.
Like this
Yeah.
style it doesn't quite sound like anything. Um, and it has so much growing to do, you know,
Mm.
especially
Hmm.
like it's raw idea as it stands right now. And so I reached out to bro and I just said, look, like I didn't know you did music. I think we should lock in for a free session for the one time. And
Hmm.
he got back to me.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Just let me be locked in.
It's funny. I think Michael Myers was the first beat I heard that you had done for him. And I did put it like in a group chat with my friends because we've been discussing 414 and Certified Trapper. And I said like not to like disparage other rappers out of Milwaukee, but I said it sounded like the most finished beat out of Milwaukee that I heard because a lot of the beats sound more skeletal, which is like a strength in a way because you don't need like extra stuff. Like
Nice.
I think of early clips where it's just, like grinding, like that's really all you need. Just hit, clap, hit, clap. But with Michael Myers, I was hearing like a very loud like synth, like, and it still had all the other elements of low end, but then I got into the other stuff and it was almost like you know, Thug or whoever influenced like production where it's like it sounds very very completely like finished and grand. So I
Hell
feel
yeah.
like you've kind of added that to Brother Man because when you listen to Spender, it's a very simple piano loop. And they don't need to do too much because
No,
the
and it
style
worked.
is already so identical. But I definitely see how it's already growing with what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That was really the sentiment behind it. Like I felt like that was sort of where I added my value to the process. You know,
Hmm.
like they definitely had their own thing going, and I thought it was really cool. And you know, you had asked about my influences before. Like I really do kind of take from a little bit of everywhere. Like I studied jazz. I'm a
Okay.
multi-instrumentalist. Um,
Hmm.
you know, I've played in a lot of different kinds of groups. I've you know had different phases throughout my life with heavy metal and folk music
Hmm.
and you know all kinds of random shit, dubstep, and then you know as a professional, I ended up in hip hop more and more, just kind of loving that sound. And so when I
Hmm.
was finding this low end stuff, it felt like open ground, felt like fresh
Hmm.
ground to break and I could take what the skeleton of that idea was, and I could influence it with all these different genres and styles and ideas.
Hmm.
You know, still kind
And
of
you
feels
said
like
you were a music teacher as well, right?
yeah, yeah, in a few capacities.
Okay. Like teaching like kids and stuff?
Yeah, and adults.
Okay. And adults. Okay. So yeah, full blown multi instrumentalist and you were playing in metal bands as well. So what do you play? Guitar, bass,
Uh,
drums, like
I don't play drums. I need to learn.
okay.
Uh,
Okay.
that's when there's just like every you know limb is doing a different job. That shit is hard.
Hmm.
But I play trumpet. I play piano. I'm getting better and
Okay.
better.
Yeah.
Uh,
Young Beethoven out here. So you told Ayo to come for a session. So you operate kind of, you have a little studio where you kind of like work out of, and
I work in
that fosters
crew.
a creative process. Okay. So what is that process like when he pulls up? Like, he's got an idea, you got an idea, you play a bunch of beats. Like, what's that process look like?
It varies. I think it depends on what we want to do for the specific track, right? And we usually don't have a very strong game plan. I think we just kind of cook. I think he trusts my ability to produce and to mix things. So to a large extent, he just falls back and lets me do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And yeah, we'll usually start with what, a melody. That'll be something that I either will play on the computer, or I'll plug up one of my instruments and I'll run that through an interface, and then we can get a melody through that. And then, like you said, with the claps, it's pretty straightforward. So a lot of times,
Gotta throw the claps up.
if we can get the bass to sit right with the melody, then it's a pretty simple process of just add that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Can't stop,
And some extra stops.
All
And
right,
it
yeah,
really
and
it's a super versatile process, which I feel like lends itself to then in Ayo's beats, you'll hear a lot of different kinds of sounds coming out
yeah.
underneath very similar types of drums,
Mm-hmm.
which is
So,
cool.
yeah. So break down some of this Milwaukee slang, because it's been a while I've been listening to Flint stuff, so I kind of know what they're talking about. But like, what does smacking mean? Like, you know, what is the root of that? I need some
It's
etymology on
context.
that.
Uh, Schmacking is usually a positive. It's schmacking, like it's fire, it's valid, it's working, it's doing what it's supposed to. Um, there's there's also like schmack can mean like uh fire, like you got the heat with you. Um, and it can also mean in a drug context, it's slang for drugs.
Okay. Okay.
Like
Yeah.
schmacking out anything, like that's a good
Yeah.
thing. Like that'd be schmacking.
Yeah. So y'all be at the Culvers out there?
Hell yeah, bro. Butterburgers are a staple. We had the homie in from, or I had the homie in from LA recently. And the first stop was Culver's. It was like, we
All
got to
right. Yeah. Now you gotta bless them with the local Johns. Yeah. A
go. This
homie of
new
mine went to
thing,
school
bro.
out.
It's a
Yeah.
patty made of fried cheese curds.
That's wild, bro.
They just put it on top of the
Yeah.
burger.
So that's the local city. So
Local
I feel like,
delicacy.
it's a smaller city. So would you say the scene is more on some tight knit, like, people know each other?
Nah,
Okay.
nah, it's a little cutthroat out here. I
It's a
think
little clicked up.
it's changing as I
Mm,
get older, and I think a lot of my contemporaries do the groundwork to sort of like help establish some infrastructure and help establish some blueprints that the new
mm,
wave can kind of look up to. Um,
mm-hmm,
but like Milwaukee is a weird kind of cutoff place. Each side of the city sort of doing their own thing, repping their own
mm-hmm,
people. Um, there's a lot of infighting amongst them, you know. So like the south
mm-hmm,
side got a competition, the east side got a competition, the north side got a competition, like,
mm-hmm.
and there's not a lot of crossover. I think
Okay.
that's changing, but it's not where it should be yet, you know?
Okay. Yeah. And so what side of the city you from?
Born and raised east, but I live on the north
Okay.
now.
You live on the north. Okay. Yeah, I hear a lot of north shout outs in the music. So y'all be doing shows over there?
Um, yeah, there's a lot of shows going on, but primarily on the east in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you played with Ayo yet?
No, it's not a lot of performances with Ayo.
Okay. Working on it though. Growth. Yeah.
I
That's
would assume, yeah. There's
yeah.
a there's a weird sort of niche emerging where I feel like artists don't necessarily need to be as physically present as they once were.
Oh
Um,
no, totally. I mean, with the internet, it's
Really,
like,
internet presence is super strong.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if he continues to grow that and build that, I think we'll find ourselves maybe not necessarily needing to push quite as hard on the boots on the ground sense. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That's like internet really democratized everything. I mean, I think Chief Keef's first boy was like, all right, like you just blow up and it's like you do not need to be outside
Soldier
really
Boy.
at all. Yeah. Oh, nah, fact.
The
So
first thing
Kurt,
we
you
do.
so you entirely produced Kurt Cobain, right? That single, like,
Yeah,
it's about four piece on there. So that's you got Michael Myers, but you also got the title track on there, Kurt Cobain. Can you break down the story? Do you recall how y'all got that track together? Because
Kurt
I think
Cobain.
that hit the most for me personally. Yeah, Kurt Cobain, and when I sent it to other people, that's been a track they've been really gravitating towards.
We had kind of been sitting back and watching Soul Train do his thing to some
Hmm.
extent. Um, it kind of like unsure of what it was that made it work or what we did and maybe how we could take a little second to acknowledge the unique parts of that song that made it like stand out, you know? And what we kind of settled on was the live instrumentation really makes a difference in the way that
Hmm.
the low end comes out. And so we knew that we wanted to kind of revamp maybe more classic influences. We had used,
Mm.
obviously, like Soul Train is a dated reference, you know? So
Yeah.
it kind of beckons to a certain time. And you can hear that in the instrumentation. Um,
Yeah.
like the funky guitar stuff going on, the electric keys going on. And when it came to Kurt Cobain, we wanted to take more of like a bluesy rocky approach and sort of
Okay.
attempt a similar thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's very interesting. And with Soul Train, obviously that song initially, I think that's like the most popular one y'all have. How
Today
did Duwap? Hmm?
we'll beat it. I think we'll beat it.
Okay. No, yeah, yeah. It's going up. It's only going up. But how did y'all connect with Duwap for that remix, Duwap Kaine initially?
So from what I understand, Ayo was a fan of Duwap for a long time and you know appreciated the work that he had done for SoundCloud and the scene that he was a part of. And randomly they reconnected or not reconnected. They connected over Instagram
Mm-hmm.
because Duwap had seen the track and just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say like, hey, I like the sound. Oh my gosh. Hey, I like the sounds. And you guys should keep going, you know?
Mm.
And that ended up being a conversation, which
Yeah.
was more along the lines of like, hey, we should get a track together. So,
Yeah.
you know, AO and them hashed it out and it ended up just being a really quick, like last minute, like, hey, do I want to get on the track? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely see that's making a lot of noise right now. So I guess do y'all both have an appreciation for that SoundCloud era? Because I guess based on like how insular
It's not
the
over.
Milwaukee sound is, like I didn't necessarily anticipate that being like a collab that y'all would have out the gate. But is that one of the kind of artists that y'all fucking with in general? Duwop. I mean, you have other artists for that SoundCloud era. Like, are there any other names like that y'all are looking to collab with?
See, I can't speak for AO because I don't know what AO's background is like that, you know?
Hmm.
I don't necessarily know who he really like studied growing up. So um I don't have plans for who AO should collab with,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
But
But
who do you want on your beat?
man, there's so many people. That's a loaded question. We'd be here for hours. Again, I feel like I'm such a multifaceted producer. Not to, I feel like that sounds a certain type of way. Not on some like, oh, I'm great, but like I do a lot of different shit, and I try to keep it
Mm,
different when I'm working on different things, you know. So like if I'm
yeah,
working with AO one day, the next day I'm gonna probably be working on some R&B or something smooth. The
yeah.
next day we'll probably be working on some, indie rock stuff. The day after that, I'm
Mm,
working on some uh EDM Jersey club stuff. Like, and so
versatility, yeah.
I got a lot of people I'd like to work with.
Mm,
A lot of people I'd like to work
mm.
with.
Not limiting yourself to one genre.
No, absolutely not. Nah, you
Yeah,
be good in the water.
yeah. So what do you see in the future? I mean, we just entered a new year. It's 2023. Like, end of the year. Where you trying to be at? What's the picture?
End of the year, man. I'm gonna be West Coast working on big records, hopefully.
All right. Yeah, that's all you need to say. So we over here. Eli, look out for that tag and let the people know where they can follow you around there, where they can find your stuff, man.
You can find me on Instagram. That's where I post most of my stuff. At _ that guy Eli. That's where most of my new work's gonna be. That's where I share a lot of my collabs at. If you were looking for my music, you can find me as that guy Eli, all one word, all platforms, whatever your preferred streaming services. And then, yeah, man, that's probably actually about it. I guess business plug. Should I do the email?
Yeah, throw out the
If
email,
you're
man.
trying to spin loops, if you're trying to collab, if you're trying to work it all, I do mixing, I do mastering, I do production. So then you can find me at ThatguyELI@gmail.com. Let's work.
All right. Bless, man. Thank you for your time and speaking, man. Good to get on the ground floor with this stuff. And we'll be in contact. I'll let you know when this drops.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. It's wonderful to talk to some people from outside of the state about it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's gaining some traction out here. I mean, I'm from Jersey, but I'm living in Philly now, and I'm definitely seeing it, online, but it's entering into the physical space.
That shit warms my heart, bro.
Yeah. All right. I'll keep you in contact, let you know when this will be like dropping and everything. And all right, that's about it, man. I'll see you.
Appreciate you.
Be easy.
Peace.